thou forever will be. Summer and winter, springtime and harvest, sun, moon, and stars in their courses above. faithfulness, Lord, unto me.
Well, this is the day the Lord hath made. Let us rejoice and let us be glad in it. Welcome to Biblecast. So happy to have you here. Whether you've tuned in by Apple TV, Roku, Twitch, Amazon, Fire TV, YouTube, Facebook, the various websites, however you've tuned in, we're glad to have you here with us today. Please do me a favor, subscribe, like, comment, share this Bible study with somebody. It's going to be a blessing to you today. Hey, stage looks different today because we have, uh, three amigos, Three Musketeers, Curly, Larry, and Mo.
Oh,
And
Lord.
so we're excited to be here with you today. Very, very excited about sharing this Bible study. We've come together today, and it's going to be a trio. This is not Destiny's Child. These are the preachers of the gospel. We're here to be with you today, and I'm glad to have Minister Anthony Mitchell, who's a rising senior at Clark Atlanta University, actually Mr. CAU for this year.
Yes, sir. Yes,
And
sir.
he's here with us today. He's been with us all summer. And of course, Minister Marquise Dukes Samuels is back with us, rising sophomore at Morehouse College. I want you to like, comment, subscribe, please, and let everybody know that we're on the air. So, guys, how you feeling today? Minister Anthony, welcome.
Thank you.
We
Thank
looked for
you.
you last week. You were too busy for us last week.
I had some personal school business to handle, but hey,
Okay.
I'm here now.
Glad-
I'm here, and I'm glad to be here.
Glad to have you, Mr. Marquise.
Yes, sir.
Glad to have you back, sir.
Yes, sir. I'm glad to be here. Excited, It's doing pretty good. Been a pretty good week. So
Well,
far.
great. You guys get ready to start school this week. You ready for this next year's school?
Whew. Yeah. Senior
Unfortunately,
year.
you got to be ready.
You said unfortunately. Yeah, so we're very proud of them. They've been with us this summer. That they've made some incredible contributions here, and as our H.F. Shepherd interns, we wanted to name our internship program in honor of my beloved predecessor, Pastor H.F. Shepherd, who served here for 47 years,
Yes, sir.
and who's now with the Lord. Has been with the Lord since 2006. Please keep his wife, Mrs. Ivy Collins Shepherd, in your prayers. Listen, this past Sunday, we continued our series on the shift, and we've been doing the shift since June, July, August, a few more weeks. And both these incredible geniuses have been with us all summer. And Sunday, the Lord gave me a message. Impetus for the message came from the horrific wildfires out there in Maui and Hawaii. And our prayers are still with those that are still discovering bodies. They're expecting the death toll to double or triple by the end of this week. Just a horrendous thing. And when I saw the images on the news, I saw an image and the silhouette showed fires on one side and people getting in the water. And immediately when I saw that, something hit my spirit when the Lord says, behold, when you walk through the fires, go through the waters, the rivers won't overtake you. And when you walk through the fires, you won't get burned. And it just shared something with me that was very significant, that blessed my heart, And so we're talking about Isaiah 43. I want you to get the outline downloaded, put in the chats. If this is your first time watching, type number 1 so our virtual community will know that you're there. I want to jump in right here, talking about Isaiah. We talked about Ezekiel last week. But one thing about Isaiah in Isaiah 6, he's talked about, we're introduced to him when he talks about it was in the year that his uncle, Uzziah, or as he's sometimes called Uzziah, died, that he was able to see the Lord. And Minister Anthony, I want to talk to you about that. It's a chronological notation, but it's also as if Isaiah is saying it took the death of his uncle in order for him to really get his purpose. So let's talk about your call. I mean, you've been ministering since you were 6, and preaching the gospel and awaiting the licensure process. But have you had a similar type of experience?
Yeah, most definitely. Sometimes, it feels as if something has to shift in order for me to get to that next step. And just like you say in Isaiah, it took death of his uncle for him to realize the calling on his life. And I noticed that not only in ministry, but also in school where some people have to leave school.
Mm.
Some people that you looked up to as a freshman, as a sophomore, as a junior, have to leave Clark Atlanta or whatever school you go to just so you could actually understand your purpose.
Mm.
Because you can be in the shadow of someone for so long and think you're actually out there when Lord knows you're not really getting what you need because that
Wow.
person is still there in your life. So sometimes it takes death or a certain transition or something or someone to leave your soul to leave you as a person just so you could actually see what God has placed on your life. So
That's good. Ms. Marquise, what about you? Have you had, anything, or have you witnessed something like that in your own life or in the life of somebody else where it took the death of King Uzziah to get clarity from God?
Yeah, I've seen it, in my own life. I see it in other people's lives. I think that sometimes um, that thing that has to die is something we lean on,
Yeah, yeah,
which you know, which is why it has to die because a lot of times we can't see anything else but that person, place, or thing.
yeah, yeah.
So it has to die, and God has to sometimes move it out the way for us to be able to for us to be able to answer to him and see him clearly. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And I've seen that in my own life. Um, People, places, and things, have had to die. And sometimes that death, if I wasn't leaning on it, if it, in that way, maybe sometimes it was a wake up call.
Wow.
In February, I lost someone who was a mentor to me at one point in my life.
Mm.
And I didn't expect that death to hit me as hard as it did.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But his death was a wake up call for me.
Mm.
It wasn't really something being moved out of my life, but it was out my way. But it was more of a wake up call, like, I've got to get this together in my life. Sometimes at funerals, even regular deaths,
Yeah.
you'll hear the pastor that's preaching say, use this as a sign to get right with God. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times we look at death as a bad thing, but sometimes death can serve us.
yeah.
And you had death in your family. I mean,
Yeah.
you been raised and surrogate family members. Everybody stepped in and the support, they offer their support as a community, as a village. How's that process been for you?
I'll say grieving with death is like you said on Sunday, death is the only thing that can shake you to your core. A pill can't help you out with death.
Right.
So it takes its levels to it. I'm God be praised for having experienced death, I would say like 3 or 2 years.
Mhm.
But death, it gives you that new outlook. Yes, that person is, you hope that person is there with the Savior, but it's just like, man, that person's not with me no more to tell me what I'm doing wrong,
Yeah.
to tell me what I'm doing right, to tell me good job now. But you have to remember the lessons that person has instilled in you to know that if they were still here, that they would correct you on something. So now you have to move with them not being here in the physical,
Yeah.
but them being there in the spiritual. And it's very hard to do because you're so used to that person being right by your side all the time.
It's funny that both of you mentioned that because when you look at King Uzziah, what he represented for Israel, as long as he was king, they had stability.
Yep.
The walls were built up against any of the nations. The gross national product, if we will, for the nation was flourishing. So he represented so much good stuff,
Mm-hmm.
For Israel. And, both of you kind of alluded to it. It's like, we don't need God.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to see God.
Mm-hmm.
As long as Uncle, as we call him back home, Uzziah is on the throne,
Yep.
we're good.
You got to worry about nothing.
Yeah, and so sometimes we can deify people that God put in our lives. If we're not careful, we can put them in the place of God.
Yeah.
And then even more sad, sometimes people that know we depend on them, if they're not careful, pride can make them put themselves in the places of God. You know what I mean?
I have something to add to that. I think also some things have to die so you can tap in with identity.
Wow.
Because I feel like sometimes
That's good.
I'm gonna make this point. Like earlier in my years when I started preaching, I used to always explain who I am by starting with, I'm a preacher.
Wow.
And one day someone said to me, who are you outside of preaching?
Wow.
He said, when we go out to dinner, who are you? Because you're
Mhm.
not you may preaching, it may be something what you do, it may be
Yeah.
who you are, but who are you outside of that?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I had I've had many identity crises, but
Yeah.
I had an identity crisis even with people in
Yeah.
my life.
Yeah.
I've had to stop identifying myself based on that person, place, or thing. That person, place, or thing. And preaching never died
Yeah.
for me. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? But I had to move that out the way and realize who I was, who
Yeah.
Marquise Dukes Samuels is.
Right.
Not who Minister Marquise,
Yeah.
not who Pastor, but
Yeah.
who is Marquise Dukes
Yeah.
Samuel? Who did God create you to be without describing yourself by what you do?
Yeah.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think sometimes, back to that point of death,
Yeah.
sometimes we identify us based on who we're ourselves, based on
Connected
who we're
to.
connected to,
Yeah.
based on, what we do, based on, things like that. And sometimes God has to move that out the way. That has to die in our lives for us to
So
see.
that's really a death of perspective then. You want to say something about that, Anthony?
Yeah, it was crazy because I spoke on this on a panel my freshman year. I came in Clark, Atlanta. I'm Anthony, the preacher, the preacher.
Yeah.
So the time I stepped on campus, everyone knew me as Anthony Mitchell, the preacher. And it was a point in time when it was like, I want to go out and have fun. I want to
Yeah.
do this and do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And it was like, man, I wish I didn't, go off by saying I'm a preacher at first.
Yeah.
And I realized you can still be cool and have fun and be a preacher. Don't let preaching or be a preacher be a brand on you so much to the point where you have to fake this persona every day, coming in talking big words or whatnot.
Yeah.
We know good and well you're just a 21-year-old in college.
My God.
Be you. So like you said, you have to find out who you are at first.
Yeah.
So I knew I'm Anthony Mitchell, a loving person that loves people. I like to have fun, but also have self-control to know that, hey, I have this brand that I have to make sure it's up to the standard that God has me to be. So I can definitely connect with you on that.
Yeah.
Marquise.
So preaching is not who you are, it's what you're called to do. So, but I have to have a death to my perspective of identifying myself that way and not really knowing who I am. That's so good, and now people who are watching, don't be alarmed when God allows things to shift and transit. That's really a transition
Mhm.
for Isaiah. Something had to die. A person, place, thing, job, in order for him to get revelation. And then God gives him insight in the 8th century BC. He's really prophesying about what was going to take place. And one of the major parts of his prophecy dealt with the nation of Israel going into Babylonian captivity. And what really struck me, I'm trying to give you insight how my thought process came in with the message. But I read something when I was studying about the forest fires and brush fires in America. And this is the worst wildfire since 1918, over 100 years. And one of the things I think it's, of course, climate change, global warming has a factor to do with this particular fire. But I read something that disturbed me. 85% of wildfires are because of human error or human initiation. And so if that is the case, in Hawaii, they didn't turn the power lines off in time. And when the hurricanes from Hurricane Dora hit, some of those live hurricane wires were still alive.
Mm.
There was a drought in the land. So instead of them cutting the power off, they think that a failure to do so, human error. And it made me think about the nation of Israel, who would end up in Babylonian captivity, not because of anybody else, but because of their own doing, they turn their backs on God. So God says, I'm going to let you go into 70 years of bondage, 70 years of captivity. And now they find themselves there. But what I love about it is God gives Isaiah a word about them going into Babylonian captivity, 200 years of wood before they got there. So the prophecy of the Lord, went forth. God was preparing them and sharing with them what was going to take place. And God says, when you walk through the fires, I'm going to be with you. The rivers won't overtake you. Walk through the waters. God says, I'm going to protect you through the fire, through the waters, and through the rivers. Now, and here's what I want to close with, or segue to in terms of the body of the message, because it blessed me Sunday, and it blessed me in my own life. But one of the things he said to them was, I'm your Lord. I'm the Lord your God. He says, I've redeemed you. I'm going to come back to that. But I've called thee by name. I've called thee by name. When I read that, I thought about you, some of the conversations we both have had. I've called thee by name. I know your name. This whole thing of identity, you mentioned brand earlier as a word. I'm seeing that a lot of people, my generation as preachers and people on social media, there is an overindulgence, in my opinion, or an overemphasis on putting our names out there.
Mhm.
You know, building a brand, a podcast.
Mhm.
I thought it was just you guys, you know, in your
No,
generation.
sir.
But now we even preach for the gram. We
Yeah.
post for the gram.
TikTok
TikTok preachers, yeah. Let's talk about that, Minister Marquise. What is your? I want to hear from both of you because I want this to be for the younger people as well, for everybody, because I think it's the line goes through everyone.
Yeah.
What's up with this generation or this season that we're in when people want their names to be out there?
It's crazy 'cause I was just talking about this earlier. I really think it's an image thing. It's about image. We want to put our names out there, but with putting our names out there, we want to uphold a false image to people and make it seem like our name and our lives are something that it's not. Then people who do this, they have high levels of influence. So what they do, they teach other younger people, even these celebrities. We
Yeah.
uphold an image. They uphold an image that now college students, younger people, even some adults want to uphold and want to live up to.
Mhm.
And we make these images standards.
Mm.
And they really hurt us more than they help us.
Wow.
Because instead of, back to the identity, tapping into who we really are as people, we're trying to become what we see and portray ourselves outside. But then when we get inside, we struggle with this self-esteem thing. We struggle with this, who am I really? Because really we're not happy with who we are. We're happy with the response we get from trying to be somebody else.
My God,
You get what I'm saying?
that's good.
And I think that's the problem. A lot of times when it comes to getting their name out there, it's because we try to get our name out there. We're willing to do anything to get our name out there because we really don't know who we are.
Mm.
We're not content with who we are. We're not happy with who we are. We're just happy with responses we get from what we put out, from who we're trying to become. You know what I'm saying? And it, like I said, it does more harm than it does help, you know, and that's why even like preachers in our generation, they even down to the clothes that they wear. You know what I'm saying? They feel like they have. How you in college wearing $700 suits? You get what I'm saying?
Eating oodles and noodles every
You know what I'm
day.
saying? But you eat noodles, but it's a thing of we're trying to up. And I'm not saying don't look nice.
Right.
I'm not saying I look nice in my. I get 3 suits from K&G for
Mhm.
less than $600.
Mhm.
You know, that's just where I'm at right now,
Yeah.
and it's okay to climb the ladder.
Right.
But if that's who you really are, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I think I've said this. I don't. People don't know this about me, but I don't. You'll never catch me in a mall buying myself a whole lot of shirts and stuff like that. And one day a friend of mine made a comment to me. They said, yeah, you recycle, meaning like you, every couple of weeks I see you with the same thing on. And you know what I told them?
Right.
I said, I'm content with that.
Right.
I'm completely content with that.
Right.
Because this is who I am. This is what I like to wear. I don't feel the need to please this generation, please the people around me. I don't feel the need to gain a response by wearing something that people will respond to.
Mhm.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I know I'm saying a
No,
lot.
it's
but
good.
yeah.
No, it's good. Good
That's
stuff.
heavy, bro.
What about you, Ms. Anthony? What about this my name? I want my name to be known.
You know, I think, like Marquise said, we want probably status,
Yeah.
popularity.
Yeah.
When your name is out there, when people know your name, it does something to you. Your ego gets bigger, your pride gets bigger.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing it now in this new position I am as Mr. Clark Atlanta.
Yeah.
People might not know my name, but they
Right.
know I'm Mr. CAU.
Wow.
So you don't have to know who I am, but you
Right.
know what I'm connected to,
Wow.
So I see it in life where you can walk into a room where people don't know who you are, but they know you as, okay, that's such and such son, that's such and such daughter.
Yeah.
So sometimes your name can be good, but what you are connected to, I think, is way better,
That's great. That's good there.
because your name can get tarnished, but because you are connected to this such thing you have in life is way better. So
And there's a difference between knowing your name and knowing who you are. You mentioned the word influencer.
mhm,
Let's talk about that for a second.
yeah,
Because God says to Isaiah, to those people, and I think inevitably to us as well, I've called you by your name.
yeah.
Is the job of an influencer? What is it? What's the hoopla about becoming an influencer?
I tell you what the problem is. A lot of us want to influence. We don't want to impact. We
Mm.
want to impress. We don't want to impact. One day I actually made a shirt like that. I put for a ministry that I was running in New Jersey. I put we're trying to impact, not impress.
Mhm.
Now, you will, if you try to impact with love, you will automatically be an influencer. And a lot of times we attach our influence to the number of people that see what we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're helping, you could be helping 3 people. You are an influencer.
Yeah.
You could be impacting one person's life. You are an influencer. But we attach influence by having
To
a million
numbers.
likes on Instagram.
Yeah.
Influence by having 3,000, all these,
Followers.
followers and
Yeah.
things like that.
Right.
That's not what makes you an influencer.
Yeah.
Wow.
Content
understand?
creator, like
Yeah.
all
Yeah,
of that. Just because you make content and all that, how can that change my life? How
Wow.
can you change my life?
Wow.
If you are supposed to be an influencer, you're not trying to put everything out there for the world to see.
Yeah.
Some of the best influencers I know do everything underground. They go out, not recording people, they're trying to influence. So hopefully throughout their influence, they're impacting someone else's life. And that cycle keeps on going, keeps on going.
And this connects to what you said earlier with being people knowing you're Mr. CAU. Be an influencer by really being and acting and living everyday life with a position of love.
Mhm.
Because people may not know your name, but that's the person who helped me bring my bags into
Mhm.
my dorm.
Mhm.
That's the person who gave me $1 when I needed something to eat. That's
Open the door for
person who
me.
saw I was in need
Yep.
and met that need. And I may not know their name, but that's you will be an influencer by doing positive things.
Yeah.
Well, Jesus, the Bible says that you would know that you're my disciples
Mm.
because of love.
Yep.
So you're in the book, and it's problematic, and we've had this conversation before. But even preachers now, it's like I want to preach so my name can get out there.
Mhm.
And don't get me wrong. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with wanting people to know you.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with wanting to be a positive influence. That's not what I'm saying at all. Even Jesus one time asked the disciples, "Well, what are folks saying about me? Who do men say that I am?"
Mhm.
I know his aim was to get them. So there's nothing wrong with wanting to have doors open and wanting to do. But if the goal is, if my motive for doing this is so my name can be known rather than resting in the fact that God knows me by name and calls me by name, how do we, because I think a lot of jealousy and a lot of fights, even amongst clergy and college students,
Mhm.
who's gonna have the biggest name.
Yeah.
And I think it's really pushed us away from our main mission.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, and so those who are watching, if nobody else calls your name, because that's another thing too, self-esteem. I think a lot of people do things to be named. You kind of alluded to it earlier, because I really don't like myself. So if I want you to think more highly of me by calling my name, by knowing my name, and people will do anything to put their name out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have seen that a lot. People do a lot of crazy things to create The goal is to go viral.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about self. Is that, then he says this about, I've called you by name. Then he says, and you're mine. So you've been chosen by me. So realize you've been called by name. Your name has been called, but then rest because you've been chosen. He says to the people of Israel, even though you're going to go into bondage, I got to get you back, but you belong to me. Let's talk about this thing about self-esteem. Not having a sense of belonging. As students, those you preach to, young people, millennials and Gen Zers, what is the real deal with people feeling unloved, unconnected, disjointed, not a part of? What do you say to those people? Have you experienced that? Those who are battling with self-esteem, what causes it, and how do we help people like that?
I think what causes it is past trauma. I experienced myself. I have a stutter, so I used to get picked on in class because how the teacher will make you popcorn read somebody. It's not the fact I can't read. It's just something that was given to me at birth. So when I do read, it's a word I know what to say. I know how to say it, but something disconnects it, so I can't really say it the way I want to say it. So past trauma, I think, leads up to having low self-esteem, because it's been times, even in my ministry, where I've been afraid to pray, to speak, all because of past trauma, because I'm afraid of what people will think of me if I do stutter. Knowing that, yes, I know how to speak. I could probably speak more better than some of these speakers at Clark Atlanta. I know what I can do, but it's just my perception of what people think of me because of past trauma. So I think that would lead up to self-esteem, to having low self-esteem.
Wow.
But also realizing who you are, knowing that I can't fix it. I can improve it by trying to slow down my words. But if it's something that you have and you can't get rid of, you start to learn from, you start to bring more awareness to it, And I know PJ Morton, he says something like, I can't love you or help you if I can't love myself. So if I can't love myself with my stutter, how can I encourage someone else who has a stutter to get out of their own low self-esteem to hopefully advance them to the next levels in their life? So I think past trauma leads up to having low self-esteem.
That's powerful, preacher.
I think past trauma is huge. I was bullied too, for my weight and things like that. But you touched on past trauma. I want to also say I think what contributes to low self-esteem is what happens at home. For younger, a lot of parents, and I'm not a parent, but I hope every parent receives this in love. Your goal is to raise your children, but do you affirm your child? One of my friends, she's very confident in herself. She knows who she is. You can see that it's genuinely who she is. And I asked her, like, where, like, people will say things to you and they don't even, she said, my mom always told me that I was beautiful. She said, and even in those moments where I felt like I wasn't, I always got that affirmation from the most important people in my life. So I think a lot of times, and I'm not saying experiences can't mess with that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because, like you said, past experience, I was bullied. I see that in my life today. Sometimes I'll think something in my head that's really not it.
Yeah.
Because of past experiences. I remember one time I walked in a convenience store, and as soon as I walked up to the counter, there was a couple of young guys there who busted out laughing.
Yeah.
And my trauma was immediately
And you
ignited.
thought it was talking about you.
Because I started looking at myself. I was with a friend, and I said, do I look
Yeah.
good? I don't know. I actually also was in clothes that usually I'm not comfortable wearing outside. So like, those Nike shirts, the white undershirts, but like they have Nike ones that you can wear to the beach. I was about to go to the beach, and I walked in the store and they started laughing, and my trauma was immediately ignited. And I started saying, is there something wrong? Do I look crazy to my friend? You know what I'm saying? So like I said, I think past trauma, but it's important that at home, that parents, guardians are affirming, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Affirming their children, building them up, not only worried about making sure they have on nice clothes, but making sure they hear nice affirmations and
Yeah.
words. Because you got to remember, growing up, parents, guardians are some of the most important people in
That
our
you
lives.
have. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we don't hear that we're loved and we're beautiful growing up, it can make it even harder when the world becomes cruel. you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and what you guys have said has been powerful. For me, I think I've seen self-esteem, a loss of self-esteem in myself and in others because of failure.
Mm.
Failure, shame, and guilt can literally be robbers of self-esteem. When you have messed something up, when you made a mistake, sometimes you can feel so unworthy, so inadequate, so insufficient, as a preacher. You talk about being a preacher and going in the midst of preacher, and then when people see your humanity,
Mm.
Oh, you're not all that after all.
Yeah.
Like, do I qualify to see it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Will people believe me? Have I lost my mojo? Have I lost my confidence? And sometimes people can stay stuck in the failure and the mess ups and not feel that they're loved by God, which is really what I love about this passage. That God is saying to them, yeah, you're gonna go into Babylon. You're gonna go there, but you're still mine.
Mm-hmm.
This present season of captivity and bondage does not negate our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the punishment, I'm a loving God. Even in what you may feel is a distance, I'm not forsaking you. I'm not destroying you. I'm developing you. And I just want people to know, as you guys have said, trauma and a lack of affirmation, but don't allow, the lack of affirmation, the trauma, people constantly putting you down, and your own self-sabotage to make you so low that you feel you can't rise up and that you're unloved by God.
And I think, though, even with failure, that speaks back to image. Because a lot of times we can't handle failure because we're not told that failure comes with living life.
That's good.
So we see people who on social media, we see highlight reels,
Yeah.
we see people living these lives, but not enough people, preachers, talk about their failures. You get what I'm saying? And that's why I can relate to failure messing with my self-esteem, because nobody told me that being a young preacher would come with so much heartache and so much pain and so much jealousy.
Yeah.
We don't like to talk about jealousy.
Right.
We try to say that, oh yeah, it's not good to say somebody's jealous of you,
Right.
but that comes with this clergy being, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It comes, but not enough people talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Not enough of us, even as young preachers or young pastors, are talking about. And that's why I'm very intentional when I speak to the college students.
Yeah.
You were here with the Fifth Sunday. I'm very intentional about saying I had a rough week.
What? Yeah.
It was hard for me to get up and go to class this day
Yeah.
because even beyond preaching, a lot of times us as young people, we don't hear enough about failure.
I love that you
That's
said
good,
that, and I love that, Anthony, that you led with weakness.
Yeah.
Your trauma of how you were treated in class, but also, when you look at yourself, like, okay, I'm having to fight through something that people can see that you may think is abnormal or not functioning properly, but you can lead with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And the thing that you described is the same thing that Moses tried to use to get out of God using him.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And yet still, you're pressing through that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It would take somebody to have extensive conversation with you to see that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then when you preach, nothing makes you more nervous than standing in front of people you don't got to speak.
Yep.
And so if you already got that issue that you're working with, You know, yours may be stuttering. Mine's using the bathroom. You know what I mean? I
Wow.
would use the bathroom right on you in my nervous, my stomach. Mine is a gastrointestinal activity. But how do you feel the sense of adequacy if people not, are people gonna laugh? What if I mess up?
Mhm.
How do you push beyond that in terms of your own preaching?
Now I just knock the dust off my feet, you know, and keep on walking. I think I've grown to a point in my ministry where, like I said, it's something that just it happens.
Yeah.
I don't ask for it to happen. It just happens. But I now try to find ways to avoid it. So if it's a word I see coming up,
Yes.
and it's something lingering saying this word is not going to come, I try to find a new word
Yeah.
to make sure it gets covered. So, but really just owning it. Like I said, if I don't love myself and loving the fact I have a stutter, then I think I wouldn't be able to preach as, I wouldn't say as good, but with much confidence, you know.
Yeah.
Because now when I do preach, people be like, I didn't know you had a stutter. We're just like, okay, I do a good job at covering it up sometimes, but I just gained the confidence throughout years of trauma and just trying to face through it. I gained those years of confidence to get through it.
Well, sometimes, man of God, God gives you that as a reminder
Mm-hmm.
to remind you that you need Him.
Yep.
That when you come to, man, they said I did good.
Yep.
You have no idea it was God.
It was God.
It wasn't me that
Yeah.
did it. You know, God graced me in spite of me to get through it.
And I think it humbles me also,
Absolutely.
because if I was to speak as good as Dr. King and as good as these speakers, I feel as if I'll probably get the big head. But now I know, yes, I can speak, but God will always humble me by making me stutter in something. So now I know, okay, all right, it's all you guys. So I thank God for it.
Yes.
Because I think my ego, my pride would have been way bigger if I knew how to speak fluently as
Wow.
well as some of these speakers
You
out
know,
here. So
you know,
I thank God for it. sometimes.
that's awesome. You know, one of the things he closes out with this chapter, you know, about it was going to be a swift shift for them.
Mhm.
Like the fires came in Maui, it's going to be a swift shift for the people in Israel. But Isaiah closes out by saying, God says, Isaiah, tell the people, verse 19, behold, I will do a new thing in you. Remember not the former things of old. Behold, I will do a new thing in you. Now it shall spring forth. Do you not know it? Remember ye not the former things, neither consider the things of old. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Minister Marquise, you and I we've been talking a lot about moving beyond things of old. We've had some pretty great conversations about how to not be handcuffed by the past.
Mm.
You know, the moments when you talked about your own depression, like I have, about things that may have happened in the past that still affect us in the present. But I believe, and I know this word was for Israel, for Babylon contextually, but I believe it's applicable to all lives, that God still can bring swift shifts in our lives and do new things. Where are you in your process of forgetting the former things? And what would you say to a person, young or old, who's watching? How do you move beyond the former things and where you don't remember? How do we not continue to be paralyzed by what happened in the past?
I don't know if you'll ever not remember it, but I will say that it's important that before you can come out of it, and many people may disagree with this, but this is what I believe, before you can come out of it and move forward from it, you must sit in it and heal from it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times I feel like we try to jump forward, but we haven't addressed, like I was talking to my aunt yesterday, and I was telling her something I was offended about. And, you know, that somebody
Presently,
oh, okay, that someone had done to me.
Okay.
And it was a friend. Okay. And this friend didn't know that they had offended me in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And she said to me, she said, if you don't sit in it and address it, She said, every time you see them, you're
Just
going to
gonna
think
think
about
about it. Yeah.
what they did. But she said, once you address it head on, heal from it internally, she said, you'll be able to freely live,
Wow.
and they can be around you. You can be around them without there being an issue. And I think that applies to even our life situations, things that are done to us. I think a lot of times depression, when you're depressed because of past things you've been through, is because we sit in it too long
hmm
and we don't heal from it while sitting in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We sit in it, but we stay there. You know what I mean? And I think there's a lot of, at least what my depression has come from, me sitting in these situations, seeing the problem, dwelling on the problem, but never looking for the solution.
Wow.
You know, and I think that's important. So my encouragement to those who may be in the middle of being depressed, a lot of times sitting in it comes with going and sitting and talking to somebody else, getting therapy. And I know you may hear that a lot, but it's true. Taking that one step, it works. Getting into things, you get what I'm saying? Getting into hobbies and things like that will help you heal. And you've got to, but I feel like in order to move forward, you have to sit in it and heal from it. Identify those things, even in relationships. My friend called me for advice the other day, and something that his girl had done that upset him. And I told him, you may say the problem to her, but tell her how she can fix it. Because saying the problem and not finding a solution, you're still sitting in the
Mhm.
problem. You haven't addressed it, which means the problem can come up later and you haven't addressed it. But when you address it, that means when it comes up later, it won't remind you of all the past things because you've actually come out of those, past situations.
That's good. What about you, Mr. Anthony? People,
We talked about this earlier. Well, not earlier. You preached inside your sermon by having amnesia. On how you could probably date somebody and see them in the mall, and you're like, "Huh, I never seen you before." I like that, but also, yes, your past is there. Make sure you learn from your past, but tagging for what Marquise said, what is your plan to get to your future? What are you doing now in the present to get to your future? Because if you don't have a plan for something, a plan to get out of this hole that you are in, how in the world do you think you can heal from it to get to your next that's your future, I would say, your future. So make sure you learn from your past. Make sure in the present you have a plan so you can get to your future.
I'm going to give real life application what you just
Okay,
said. 'cause
Dad.
it
Okay,
came to
come
me.
on.
It's like with weight loss.
Oh.
I'm going to tell you, you know what my struggle was a long time with weight loss?
What was
I
it?
knew the problem.
Uh-huh.
I knew I needed to lose weight, but I didn't put together a plan
Mhm.
to move forward. You know the problem. You know what you're hurt about. You know what they did to hurt you. But what is your plan to heal?
Yeah.
Stop sitting in the problem. A lot of times people can't lose weight because they know they need to. And I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to myself. But we sit in the problem of
Yep.
we need to lose weight.
Yep. What you
And
gonna do
even
to
sitting in a
try to
problem
lose it?
that simple would make you depressed.
Yep.
Because I'm depressed because I'm this big. I'm depressed because I can't do certain things because I'm this big. But I ain't put together the plan, the solution to come
Fix
out
it.
and to move forward. You know what I mean? And I think that was just something that came to my head. While you were talking.
it's good because you as you were saying that, I thought about that guy in John 5. Jesus asked the man who's been laid by the pool 30 years, do you want to get better? I ain't got
Just
nobody
sitting
to put me in
there.
the pool. You know what I mean?
What's your
just,
plan?
Yeah, he's like, I'm just excited about, I'm comfortable sitting in my dysfunction.
Yeah.
And even you ask me about the possibilities of healing, I'm just gonna commiserate my dysfunction, and I don't have nobody.
Yep.
You just content with that place. And so I just want to share, forgetting not the former thing. Don't remember the former things. Don't consider the things of old. I believe that's the word of Israel. I believe the word of Israel too that spoke to the turn their backs on God. I believe it's God saying to them, don't continue to be hijacked even by your own shame, by your own guilt. Yeah, you're going to go into Babylonian captivity and you put yourselves there, but don't stay Be loving to yourself. That's what I want to share with somebody today. Give grace to yourself.
Yeah.
You know, there have been times that I just, man, what did I do? I can't believe I did that. How did I get here? How did I get myself in this situation? Why did I do that? And keep beating yourself up about being human, about failing, about admitting the weakness.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, it happened. This was my issue. Am I gonna keep beating myself up for the rest of my life? Or allow others to keep beating me up for something that I can't change?
Mhm.
At some point, I gotta remember not the former things and don't even consider the things of old, so God can do something new. You want to say something to
I
that?
think that tags back to identity too. I think it ties back to identity. It ties back to identity in a huge way, because a lot of times we don't realize that thing wouldn't be a thing if there was no us.
Mm.
During finals week, we did the finals series,
Mm-hmm.
and I told the students, I said, make sure you do something to love on yourself today, because there wouldn't be no final if you didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we get so caught up in being knocked down, not realizing that if you know who you are, even when you got it knocked down, you got to own that being knocked down. Because I wouldn't even be able to be knocked down if I wasn't here.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes, and that goes back to the thing with death.
So appreciate the existence.
Yeah.
I'm here.
I'm here. I'm who I appreciate. And even
Yeah.
when I fall,
Yeah.
I'm still
I'm
here.
still
here.
yeah, I got knocked down, but I'm here. If I wasn't here, I wouldn't know I was knocked down.
I'm glad that I'm able to get knocked
Get
down.
knocked down.
Because there's some people that wish they could
can
be
get
here and
knocked
be
down,
knocked, wish they could get knocked down, get back up and fix some things before they took, the highway to heaven.
Yeah.
It's being knocked down as a reminder that you got existence.
That's a word.
You know what I mean? So get back up. Anthony, we're gonna close. I want you to, it's a new semester.
Yeah.
And I want you to say a word to some of the students, perhaps, who last semester didn't go well for.
Mm-hmm.
What would you? We're gonna take this clip and not to make your name big, but to encourage somebody, because that's what we're about, giving hope. And then God's gonna bless you as a result. We know why we're doing this.
Yeah.
But what would you say to a person who the last 2 semesters have not had the best semesters?
Yeah.
And yet the semester starts off new. What would you say to that person?
A good scripture that comes from one of my favorite scriptures comes from Joshua 1:9, when it says, "Have I not commanded you, be strong and of good courage?" So my message to you guys is, I came from a season where I found myself in a hole with my grades, my GPA, social life, and it felt as if I couldn't get up. It felt as if people was talking bad about me, leaving me, but I had to remember those lessons I've learned in my pain. Joshua, the only way he was able to lead is if Moses died. And I had to realize those L's were there to give me a lesson, to push me towards new heights, in my grades, in my GPA. So those bad days, those sad days that you faced last semester, your freshman year, your sophomore year, use those sad days to give you energy to realize you don't want to go back to that season of your life, because you believe that there's a new season, a better season, a greater season that God is calling you to go into. So if he did not command you to do it, if he did not encourage you to do it, then it would not have been able to be possible for you to be in this season right now. Because guess what? The past is in the past. You a freshman in college. You are a sophomore in college, a freshman in high school. You reached that level. So the only way to get better is to go higher and higher and higher. So be not dismayed whatever betides you, because God will take care of you. So that's my little 2 cents.
That's a good 2 cents. Ms. Marquise, you've had to reposition relationships, and not to eliminate them, but reposition them, so you can move forward. What do you say to people who have to reposition things so they too can move forward? What do you say to them?
I say, even in the repositioning, through all that, your failures, your repositioning, your struggles will make you an influencer. in Philippians, while Paul is in jail, he's writing this letter, and he says, I'm not here for me. I'm here for you. Would you believe me if I told you that your failures are setting you up to influence somebody else to do better, be better, and get back up? So use your failures, your repositioning relationships. When a relationship doesn't work, you got to move people around in your life. It might be hard. I'm not going to say you're not going to cry. You're not going to be down. You're not going to be upset. But know that your trials, all those things that you think are not working out for bad, they're actually going to serve you later and going to work out for your good, because it's putting you in a position to be a positive influence to somebody else. Because at the end of the day, you are not here for you. You're here to impact somebody else, to bless somebody else, and to serve somebody else, even through your failures.
Listen, don't you remember the former things? Don't you even consider the things of old? Not just for Israel, but not just for your institution, but for you as an individual. I want you to believe, as we close this Bible cast, that God is still the God of new things.
New things.
And God can bring you to new seasons, new chapters. This is the 8th month of the year. I said on Sunday, and I'm not always given to numerology, but I just want to use that. 8 is the number of new beginnings. And while we're in this month of August, I want you to believe and expect that God can do some new things in your life. And listen, while you're watching, maybe you want the newness of life and the newness of salvation. Paul in 2 Corinthians 5 says, therefore, if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away, and behold, all things have become new. If you want to accept the Lord Jesus while you're watching, listen, there's information on the screen. Text the word salvation. If you want to be a part of this ministry, to connect with us, text the word connect. At the bottom of the screen, the number is there. And also, if you just want somebody to pray with you, to help you in this process of whatever you may be dealing with, text the word prayer, 678-201-1351. Last, if you want to give, and we're not here to give on Sunday, you want to give and you've been blessed by something one of these young men has been able to share with you today, you can give. You can give by text to give. Information is on the screen. Please give right now by Cash App. You can give by Zelle, and you can give through the website, or you can send it through the P.O. Box. So if you've been blessed, thank you for tuning in today, and I pray that God will send some swift shifts in your life, because time is filled with swift transitions. But I want you to build your hopes on things eternal and hold God's unchanging hand. Thank you for being a part. May God bless you. And always remember, if you'll be good to God, God will be good to you. Till next time, peace. God bless you.
Crystal, what's going
Glory,
on? We are
nothing.
back. It's me and you again.
Yes.
I mean, who else is going? It's me and you again here to make sure that the people out there watching us know exactly what's going on here at the House of Hope Atlanta. We keep y'all informed, and we want to thank you for actually paying attention to us, because y'all could be on your phones, you could be in the bathroom right now. If you're at home, you could definitely be doing anything if you want to. Don't be driving and watching us though, because that's not safe. I'm just saying. But we do definitely want to recognize the fact that the virtual spiritual boot camp, ended recently, and Crystal got something special to say about that, don't you, Crystal? Go ahead, tell me.
We would just like to welcome all of our new members who just completed our virtual spiritual boot camp. Welcome.
That's right. We welcome you, because you rocking with us, and you rocked with us so hard that you joined.
Yes.
Ain't that something?
We appreciate
All right, now
you.
this is for all of the virtual viewers, because we got a lot of virtual viewers that have joined as well. We have many ways to keep you connected with us. So if you need prayer, all you have to do is do what, Crystal?
Text the word prayer.
Just text it. It's just that easy. If you want to become saved, what you got to do, Crystal?
Text the word salvation.
That's it. That's all you got to do. And if you want to become a member of the House of Hope Atlanta, so you can go through the virtual spiritual boot camp too and become an official member, you text what?
Connect.
To what number, Crystal?
678-201-1351.
I could take Pat Sajak's place, and you could be the new Vanna. You be Vanna Black, because she's Vanna White. You could be
Vanna
Crystal.
Caramel.
Okay, go ahead, Crystal, because you just
Anyway, join the Seasoned Saints on Saturday, August 19th to Trillith Studios. Interesting, right? This is an adventure to tour a Trillith Studios film and movie production in Fayette County, Georgia. At a cost of $25 per person, all you have to do is text the word studio to 678-201-1351, or you can check on the church's website to register.
You think they're gonna get to be like in a scene? Or
Probably not.
Shoot a. maybe shoot a couple.
They
of,
might be extras though. It could happen.
I don't think they're going there to be extras, but they're going to tour the studio. That's
Yeah.
what she's talking about. So we need all men and women to join the Men and Women of Hope for a combined fellowship on Saturday, August 19th at 8 a.m. in the Hope Center. What's the Hope? Is that the atrium?
Just read the
Hope.
thing.
Okay, this will be a session for men and women to speak on what males and females need from each other. Join us for this time of fellowship and fun with a discussion with a theme of I have needs. Now, if you need more information, it should be on the church website. Then you can find out what the Hope Center, I think that's find out what the Hope Center is by going to the website, because the Hope Center, is that the atrium?
The Men of Hope, in collaboration with the Health and Wellness Ministry, will host the Real Talk, Real Men Conversation. This monthly discussion will be facilitated by the African Male Wellness Agency on Thursday, August 24th at 6 o'clock p.m. Atrium is the location. Now, these conversations will empower men to understand how prevention can provide them with longer life.
And then we've been talking about this for a minute, and technically they gave us a date of the 30th, but I'm going to say it again anyway because these kids need this item. So the college and outreach ministries are still requesting your help to replenish the personal goods pantry. So as you know, the college kids are going back to school. It's the new school year. We are in need of toiletry items, trial size if possible, for men, women, and for unisex use. Toothpaste, toothbrushes, feminine products, and soap, to name a few. There's a full list of items on the church website, and even if you don't see that list anymore, I don't care, bring them. Toiletry items may be dropped off to the church Monday through Thursday from 9 to 5 or in person here at the Vortex or the theater. So make sure you do that. And there are also collection bins available, and if you don't even see a collection bin, find somebody, a deacon or somebody, and give it to them, because these kids need these items. I'm just saying.
Yes.
If you need more information, email member@gtrbc.org.
All veterans and their families are invited to attend a monthly Veteran Segway on the third Tuesday of each month from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. This meeting will consist of special guests who will share vital information to veterans and their families and also fellowship with other veterans. To participate in this virtual meeting, please text the word Segway to 678-201-1351. Now, Veteran Segway will be on the third Tuesday of each month at 6:30 p.m. So I don't know why I just repeated that, but again, text the word Segway to 678-201-1351.
Because people don't remember stuff the first time. You got to say it a few
That's
more
true.
times.
So that's why I did that.
That's right. And just like some of y'all haven't remembered that we've been talking about this invitation situation. Some of y'all have not
Cute how
invited.
you just rolled it.
You
That's
see how I did
good.
that?
Yeah,
You see what
I like
I did
that.
there?
I like that.
Some of you have not invited anybody to this great church, and I know you can't be just soaking up all the great work,
goodness.
the good worship, the
And
good
the
praise,
word.
and the good word by
Share.
yourself.
You should
That's
share.
right. Share with a
Yes.
coworker, share with a friend, share with a neighbor, share it with anybody, a family member. So make sure that you let people know all year long. We want them to be invited. Invite them to this good old vortex so they can get this good. They can jump into this good praise.
Don't be
that
stingy
we've
with
been
the
having.
Lord. Don't be stingy with the Lord.
Stingy with the
Share
Lord.
him.
And if you have any issues, maybe you're like, I don't know how to get that conversation started. I don't know how to invite somebody. You can go to our website. There are many resources and tools that will actually help you to get that conversation started. And if you invite a guest, those visitors that we have, guess what? We got a whole little booth set up for you with some special things, special gifts for you just for coming. So please make sure that you keep inviting your friends, your family, your coworkers all year long.
Okay.
Well, you know what, Crystal?
What?
We done.
What?
We have nothing else.
Okay.
We have nothing. That is our time for today. But remember that life with God is better in every way, every day. Be blessed. Now, Crystal,
Yes.
we've been talking about this invitation. We've been saying, hey, invite somebody.
Right.
And, it's been going on since, how long have we been doing the invitation?
Some months.
So at this point, this thing should be packed out, don't you think?
Well,
to
it
the point
kinda
where you
is
think
a little bit.
It is a little bit. Y'all gonna have to get this balcony, situation so we can get the people. Because once these invitees start really coming like
Yeah.
they're supposed to,
Right.
we're gonna need more space or whatever. Y'all gonna knock some of these walls down or something and get some more.
We gotta go.
Well,
I ain't trying to cut you off or nothing,
I'm
but
telling
hurry it
the
up.
well, it's Pastor Smith coming after us. And he can talk a lot longer than me.
We not him.
I'm just, but
This
he
is
gonna
church.
say a lot more than I just did. I'm just